नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Haribo 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 Gaur Haribo Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanajari Jamuna Tira Vanajari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanajari Jamuna Tira Vanajari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanajari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya. Astotra His Divine Grace. ISKCON BBT Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya. Astotra Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnavrind ki jai. नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ, श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय, श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय, श्री जगन्नाथपुरी की जय, गंगामयी जमुनमयी की जय, भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय, कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. We'll read from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, 3rd chapter, text number 11. This chapter, the title is Karma Yoga. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreyah param avapsyata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The demigods being pleased by sacrifices will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. Purport. The demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. The supply of air, light, water, and all other benedictions for maintaining the body and soul of every living entity is entrusted to the demigods, who are innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their pleasures and displeasures are dependent on the performance of yajna by the human being. Some of the yajnas are meant to satisfy particular demigods, but even in so doing, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in all yajnas as the chief beneficiary. It is stated also in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is the beneficiary of all kinds of yajnas. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. Therefore, ultimate satisfaction of the yajnapati is the chief purpose of all yajnas. When these yajnas are perfectly performed, naturally the demigods in charge of the different departments supply are pleased, and there is no scarcity in the supply of natural products. Performance of yajnas has many side benefits, ultimately leading to liberation from material bondage. By performance of yajnas, all activities become purified, as it is stated in the Vedas, Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhi, Swattva Shuddhau Dhruva Smriti, Smritir Labdhe Sarva Grantinam Vipramokshaha. By performance of yajna, one's eatables become sanctified, and by eating sanctified foodstuffs, one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. And when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. And all this combined together leads to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamshcha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpataru Vascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It's my pleasure to be here, an honor. Even though it's a weekday, still there's so many devotees. And we were given the subject of cooperation, compassion for community building. And here in Krishna is speaking to Arjuna about cooperation between the demigods and the Supreme Personality, in the demigods and the living entities. Many times people ask this question, why there are disparities in this world in regards to human existence. Some people are wealthy, some people are very poor, some are intelligent, some are not so intelligent. If God is equal to everybody, why God's creation, especially in regards to living entities? There is disparity. But unfortunately, what human beings do, they always see from a mechanistic point of view. One is how material world is created, and second is why material world is created. In understanding how it is created, it shows one's material intelligence, mechanistic understanding. But if you understand why it is created, that gives a greater understanding of, how we have to function in this world. The disparities are there because one is the living entity, he or she brings their own karmas. And because of that karma, even though the living entity is full of knowledge, full of bliss, full of eternity, this concept of living entity being complete and pure and blissful, originally, we are all Krishna conscious entities, as Prabhupada explains, but some other by contamination, it has come to this material world. So originally, we are full, we are potential divine entities. But because of our contact with the material modes of nature, as we come to this world acquiring many bodies, certainly there are defects. But these defects have a facility for one to interact differently. Someone who has got more can be compassionate to others. He receives the facility to be charitable. And how can he be charitable unless there are people who do not have? I remember one time we were with our spiritual master for his surgery in London. And then basically because we were staying in a very good area, so we would cook prasad. After cooking, sometime, the prasad would be left over. And whom do you feed? There's nobody. So they have sink. In London they had a sink where we were staying. So whatever is left over, you put in that sink and you start a machine. It's like a mixture. Everything gets diluted and goes into the sink. Because they have created a society where everybody who stays there has equal facilities. But if you see Krishna's creation, it is not Krishna is created like that. Krishna's material nature is very beautiful, very perfect. But human beings are of many imperfections. But even in that imperfection, what does it do? It gives a facility for someone who has to give to someone who doesn't have. So the compassionate quality is developed when we see somebody who doesn't have. And those who don't have, rather than being envious, they can feel grateful. So either way, those who don't have, they can develop the quality of gratitude, and those who have, they can develop the quality of compassion. So this is the beauty of Krishna's creation. In this disparity, in this imperfection also, what does he do? If you follow Krishna's system, like here Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, he said when the material world was created, Lord said, okay, have a cooperation. Because in cooperation there is confidence. In cooperation there is trust. In cooperation there is a relationship. Cooperation is born out of Sattva Guna. And Rajoguna brings competition, Spardha. There is Spardha and there is Sahakar. And Rajoguna is always threatening. And unless there is a situation or a facility, one cannot live a cooperative life. Like we have a school for our devotee children. It is very close to Borivali railway station, those who are from Bombay or those who know about Bombay. And the trains are always crowded. I remember one time one New York devotee came to stay in our temple. And some other, there was no car. And devotees who were taking him for a preaching program. He said, Prabhu, do you want to travel in the train? Oh, I am from New York, so I know. He said, I can handle this, not a problem. So when he came inside the train, and that too was in the evening hours, he was going from Church Gate to Borivali. And he caught the train in between, near Grant Road. So as he entered inside, he felt that he was in the womb of his mother. When he was in the womb of mother, he was not conscious. That time at least there is no consciousness. You don't know what's happening there. Because the consciousness is not developed. But in the train, local train, your consciousness is still, you're very conscious. So when he came out, he said, wow. He said, I felt I'm coming out of hellish planet. At least he felt like that. But for Bombay, it's normal. No, they don't feel like that. They feel it's an adventure. Constructive adventure. So when you tell children, you have to stand in line, you have to cooperate, you allow others to go ahead. Easy to speak values. But it is very difficult to practice values in such situation. Why? Because the surrounding is all about getting in first there. So values are only valuable when the surrounding is friendly. Therefore Krishna's system, one is to appreciate Krishna personally. That is beautiful. Krishna is very beautiful. Krishna has curly hair. Krishna plays upon his flute. Krishna is very kind to his devotees. It's very easy. But actually to understand Krishna's system, it is more entertaining. It is more fascinating. How Krishna has created this material world. His system is so beautiful. If you see, if we follow nature and natural life, as Prabhupada always wanted us to follow, therefore he called simple living and high thinking. Simple living is not poverty living. Simple living is not about, starving or, having no resources. It is not that. Simple living that means that there is a simplicity of consciousness. And only when somebody lives simply, then he can actually think high. Simple living and high thinking. Otherwise, complex living and no thinking. Or thinking is all confusing. So therefore, unfortunately, the mundane world has created so much of Rajoguna, and because of this Rajoguna, what happens? There is a competition for survival. The education system, when we study Bhagavatam, Mahabharata and Ramayana, the education system was geared towards developing values, Krishna conscious values. There was a cooperative life in the Bhagavatam when Krishna and Sudama, when they went to collect wood for their guru, there was no competition. It was not there who will collect largest sticks for their guru. Unfortunately, in this mundane world, even while practicing Krishna consciousness, we create competition. who will distribute more books. Yes, it's healthy as long as it only increases book distribution. If that competition increases conflicting situation, I remember one devotee, he said, when I joined the temple, he was telling, from Radha Rasbihari temple, he said, what, how we become so addicted to being first, because we come from that background. He said there would be few parties going around. So one party would be looking, when this party is going out. And sometimes they would puncture their tire also, so that they can be delayed. He said it was done with good intentions, but the strategy was not good. You don't grow by bringing others down. So competition is always threatening. Like we have a lot of students coming to our temple, college students, medical students. So one of our devotees was saying, what he said in our hostel when we would study, and especially if you are more intelligent. If you are not so intelligent, then you are avdut, carefree. Chalta hai. When exam comes, let us see. But especially those who are more intelligent, they are threatened. They, in fact, bring out base qualities. Of course, others are shameless. But these people, he was saying, he said, I have seen, in medical college, most brilliant student would go to other brilliant student. And they would say, Arey, so ja abhi, itna kyun padhai karta hai? Why you are studying so much? Go to sleep. And they would insist them to sleep, and then they would go and study. Or sometimes steal their notebooks also. So you are excelling in your performance, but at what cost? But the problem is Rajoguna, where the demand is more and the resources are less, it is but natural for the ordinary living entities to respond to accordingly, to develop that Rajoguna. So Rajoguna has a power to create conflict or competition. And Tamoguna, for that matter, Tamoguna's nature is to create complaint, continuously grumble. This is not happening, that is not happening, continuously. Therefore, Prabhupada explains in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he defines Shudra. He doesn't define Shudra as a born Shudra. He says Shudra means what? One who always unnecessarily cries. Whatever he sees, he is crying. Whether it is good thing or bad thing, he is crying. Because that's his nature. So Tamoguna makes one cry. So to be trying to perfect material world, trying to make Satya Yuga and Kali Yuga, that itself is the biggest fault. Because Kali Yuga is Kali Yuga, and what does Bhagavatam explain? Bhagavatam explains, Kalair dosho nidirajan asteka mahan guna. Kali Yuga is ocean of fault. The two biggest faulty qualities in this age of Kali is quarrel and hypocrisy. There are many other qualities, faulty qualities, but the greatest two faulty qualities are quarrel and hypocrisy. If we are with people, we fight. If we are alone, we are hypocrites. So if you are with people, then there is a conflict, there is a fight. But if you are alone, then we are hypocrites. That is how material world functions. So therefore, to cooperate when everything is good is no big deal. When everything is there, I have to eat, I got something to eat, somebody else has something to eat, some other person also has got many things to eat. That time to cooperate is no big deal. Demigods cooperate very nicely. Why? Because everybody has their own quota very nicely. Sufficiently their quota is there. You don't find Indra is competing with Varun. You don't find Varun competing with Indra. You don't find Agni having a trouble with Indra. The demigods never quarrel. Why? Because the resources are limitless. And in the hellish planet also nobody quarrels because everybody is suffering abundantly. They can't say, you take my suffering. Why are you suffering more than me? There is no envy in regards to their suffering. Because there is abundant suffering. The problem is the material world. Why? Because the material world, it is neither hell nor heaven. It is in between. Because it is in between, so therefore what happens? There is always a kind of, somebody else is better than me. Somebody sent a quote to me. He said there was some people said, I am suffering the most. Another person said, no, I am suffering the most. They decided, okay, let us invest all suffering in a stock market. And then we'll share equally. So when they did like that, they realized, hey, my suffering is better. I would prefer my own suffering only. So, cooperation when resources are plenty is very easy. But real cooperation is appreciated by Krishna when there is a conflict. Resources are less, demand is more, but we still share. That is a greatest challenge. In a community of devotees or family, whatever, we see people, some are very intelligent, some are less intelligent. And the beauty, therefore, we see the Pandavas. The Kauravas, you never read in the Mahabharata that amongst the Kauravas there was a fight. Dushasana was catching Duryodhana's collar and beating him down. You never read in the Mahabharata the Kauravas ever fought amongst each other. They never fought. Why? Because they are all equally nasty. So because they are all equally nasty, there was no competing in regards to who will become more nasty. And of course, Duryodhana was the leader of all the nasty people. So you never see they were fighting. I was quite amused when I was reading Mahabharata today. Not even once Vyasdeva mentions that there was a conflict between the Kauravas. Only once, verbal. When Draupadi was being disrobed, one of the brother, Vikarna, he raised voice. He said, we cannot do this, it is adharma. So the only time he said. But amongst the Pandavas, if you read Mahabharata many times, there was a conflict. Why? Because they were all different people. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was a very sober, very reflective. He was the original Mahatma Gandhi. Never wanted to argue, never wanted to fight, willing to do anything for others' cause, willing to take injustice, suffer himself. And Bhima was, like another extreme. He said, now only we have to give them punishment. And Arjun was different, Nakul Sahadeva was different, Draupadi was different. So in such a condition to cooperate when you are all different people is very difficult. Very challenging. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj gambling, all the brothers gambling away his wife also, and just still to cooperate was not easy. Very difficult, very challenging. But there was a goal. What was the goal? There was a purpose. And the purpose was to serve Krishna. So they did not change their nature. It is not that Yudhishthira was superimposing Bhima, you have to become like me only. Or Bhima would not force Yudhishthira Maharaj. Sometimes he would say, you should have been Brahmana. I don't know why you're a Kshatriya. He would say like that. But he would never superimpose. They would not try to change each other, superimposing their ideas. They continue to exist as they were according to their dharma, their swadharma. But what was the central point for them to come together and cooperate? The central point was, Krishna. There was a cause, there was a higher cause. It is much easier to be united for a lower cause. Very easy in one sense. Like the Kauravas were united always. Just because someone is united doesn't mean it is great. We have to see what is the purpose of that unity. Sometime when a new devotee, when he comes to the temple, in the association of devotees, they may find even devotees are fighting. And they say, it is better to be outside only. At least they are good. But why they are good? What is the cause of their unity? The cause of their unity is very low. So even if you are united, what do you gain out of it at the end of the day? Therefore, when we perform this austerity of cooperating, and there is actually, it is not an ideal, it is not about being very idealistic, it's very practical. Cooperation only allows us to grow, as here Krishna very practically is telling, Unless you perform sacrifice, the demigods will not offer you the daily necessities for your sustenance. Life is actually designed in such a way that if you want to live a healthy life, you have to cooperate. Our survival is based upon somebody else. In fact, the modern material world has created such a dependence, civilization, and everybody will talk about, I want to be independent, I want to be independent. But even for their independence, they are so much dependent. So much of dependence is there. Of course, this is not cooperative life. It is basically, it's a slavery. There is so much of dependence. But what Krishna talks about is the concept of cooperative life. So therefore, like we see in our community also, there are diverse people. There are young people, there are old people, there are dynamic people, there are, Lord Buddhas, very peaceful. They don't move only, So one can call them. When we see somebody is sober and somebody is very aggressive, a sober person, aggressive, enthusiastic person may call sober person a lazy. How we, brand people, because we have our own ideas of life. Therefore, in a diverse group of people, when the goal is very clear, that we have a purpose, the higher purpose is there, then one is able to perform austerity. It is not that it happens automatically. Nothing happens automatically. Automatic means atheism. Nothing happens automatically. One has to put in efforts. So to live a cooperative life, we try to discuss amongst our devotee community. If you want to please Prabhupada, as he said, if you want to love me, your love can be shown based upon how you cooperate. It's a statement, but to live that statement, it takes certain austerity, certain tapasya. It's easy to speak, but to actually implement, it's not easy. If it was easy, then there is no tapasya. Because it is difficult, therefore when somebody does what is supposed to do, then it is the special grace of Krishna. Therefore in the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam, when Vidur was asking to Maitreya Rishi about Prachini Bharishata's son, Prachetas, and Lord Vishnu came to Prachetas, what did he say? He said, I am very pleased because you are living a very cooperative life. And Shukdev Goswami explains to Parikshit Maharaj, he said, those who hear this story regularly, they will also become very cooperative to each other. No? Why? Because we are reflecting on somebody who has lived a life cooperation. So when we contemplate, when we reflect, we realize, oh, even I can do it. If we always reflect on those people who are always fighting, then what happens? We feel, array, this is impossible. What the Shastras speak can never be accomplished. But when we actually contemplate on those people who have actually done it, what happens? Then we also develop, oh, I can also do. Therefore Krishna, he explains in the 4th chapter of the Gita, Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashrita baho jnana tapasa putamad bhavamagata. He said, one who gives a raga, bhaya and krodha, very difficult to give a fear. No, Microsoft is laying off so many thousands of people. So how can you be fearless? Very difficult. Raga, attachment. It's very difficult to give up. Krodha, anger is very difficult to give up. These 3 qualities, raga, krodha and bhaya, it is our part of life, just like breathing. We are always fearful of certain uncertainties. Anger, if somebody honks behind you, we become angry. Somebody says something to us, we become angry. And attachment, how can somebody say, no, I don't have attachment? We become attached to our t-shirt also. What to speak of our own family members. But Krishna, what does he say? He said, Arjun, bahavo jnana tapasa. He said, many people by knowledge and detachment have achieved. It is not you alone. Many, many people in the past. So Krishna gives that confidence also. So therefore when we reflect upon those good things, then that gives us confidence, even I can do that. It is possible to do it. Therefore, these 5 principles do work very well in regards to relationship, a cooperative relationship. I'll conclude and then Gauranga Prabhu will speak. So these 5 principles are, first principle is appreciation. Appreciate whatever good you see. Everybody has something to contribute. When Prabhupada came to America, what did he see? He could have seen so many faults. He didn't come to see building, wow, White House, He didn't come to see that. He saw, no doubt, but he did not come for that. He came to preach Krishna consciousness. But the candidates for Krishna consciousness, he was a traditional from the spiritual world, even being raised in Bengal. So what did he see? He could see so many faults. But beyond those faults, he saw the potential to take Krishna consciousness. So he appreciated that. He appreciated that. Appreciate something good people do. And second, encourage the potential. If see some talent which is there, if we can appreciate that, if we can give that confidence to people, then what happens? That potential becomes a blazing fire eventually. And third principle is that respect the difference. Do not artificially try to create a uniformity. It is not possible. If there are, it is said that India has got 18,000 varieties of rice. Mangoes, there are so many varieties of mangoes. Right. And people, naturally, there are more varieties of people than mangoes. The mangoes are rice are 18,000, human beings are 400,000 varieties. 3 modes of material nature, when they mix, permutation and combination, so many varieties are, created. So therefore, rather than trying to artificially create uniformity, why not respect the difference? When we respect the difference, then coexistence is possible. And the fourth principle is tolerate the unchangeable. One devotee was mentioning recently that in this world there are 2 kinds of problems. One are solvable problem and second are tolerable problems. And he said tolerable problems are more than the solvable problems. And therefore Krishna, he begins the Bhagavad Gita by saying, Matara Sparshastu Kaunteya. Now Krishna is very practical. He is not telling, I'll give you something which help you to overcome all your troubles. He says, material life is so arranged, it is like a season. Happiness and distress are like season. They come and they go. One should learn to tolerate without being disturbed. So, tolerate those who are unchangeable and forgive, which can be forgiven. When we practice this 5 principles as much as possible, then we can perform this austerity of, living a cooperative life. And of course, when we try on our own, we will always fail. But because we are trying it for Krishna, for Guru, and Srila Prabhupada's mission, then what happens? The power also comes. The empowerment also comes. The Shakti also is given by God. When we have good intention, but we do not have the resources and the power to do it, but we pray to Krishna, then Krishna gives us the strength to do this. And when we do it, what does he do? He gives all the credit to us. That is the beauty of Krishna. Therefore one brahmachari in our temple, a senior brahmachari, was saying, only one person in this world who gives credit to its instrument. Krishna told Arjuna, Arjuna, you become my instrument and take all the credits. No student ever gives credit to his pen. I scored great grades because of my pen. He never gives credit to his instrument. Only Krishna gives the credit to instrument. So if we become Krishna's instrument in living such a cooperative life, he said, you take all the credit. Therefore Prabhupada said, in the Mahabharat war and Ramayana war, It is not Krishna and Ram are glorified. All the credit went to Arjun and Hanumanji. And that is how Lord is so detached. He will give us the strength, He will give us the power, and if you do that, then He says, wow, you are so glorious. Jai Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Cooperation, compassion for building society.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम Hare Krishna. So I'm very happy to be here in this beautiful temple. The topic of cooperation is a very important one, especially in Kali Yuga, which is a yuga of conflicts and discord. So, reminds me of a story I heard at South India Yatra a few years ago, spoken by one of our Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, and one of the scholars was there. Just a very simple story from, Ramayana. I don't know which Ramayana, but he was like narrating this story when we were all together. So he was saying that Vibhishan was practically the only person in whole of Lanka who was a devotee of Lord Ram. And Ravana suddenly visited Vibhishan's house one day. So when he entered Vibhishan's house, he was shocked to see that on all the walls, Vibhishan has written Ram Nam. Everywhere Ram is written. So Ravana became very angry and he started screaming at Vibhishan and he said, "How dare you write the enemy's name here? You don't know, number one enemy I have is Ram, and you are my brother, and you have written this name here?" So Vibhishan looked at him and said that what I have written here, Rama, is not that Rama. Here, Ra stands for Ravana and Ma stands for Mandodari. So Ravana was shocked. He said, "Wow, that's amazing." And then immediately he announced, all houses in Lanka, they should write Rama everywhere. So this is a classic example of finding a point where we can agree upon. So this is the greatest challenge in this day and age. How do we find a point where we can agree upon and do something constructive and cooperate? So Srila Prabhupada made this statement that you can show my love by how you cooperate with each other. And we find that, as Govinda Prabhu mentioned some of these principles, that two of the very important principles required for cooperation is gratitude and forgiveness. In the Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, it is described that tam duraradhyam sadhubhi ananya sharane nribhi kritagya kono seveta duraradhyam asadhubhi. The process of devotional service is very simple for someone who is very grateful. Tam sukharadhyam rijubhir ananya sharane nribhir kritagya kono seveta. If someone is kritagya, if someone is grateful, then that gratitude helps a person remember how Krishna has been merciful to him. So the word Kritagya is also very interesting. If you see this word Kritagya, it means that I remember what good things have been done for my sake. Kritagya. So therefore, in the first canto, in the symptoms of intelligence, one of the symptoms is memory, and one of the symptoms is gratitude. And gratitude is a function of the memory, because to the extent our memory is good, we remember things. So many times nowadays the memory is used in the context of facts and figures which we can remember. So we should know that as Kali Yuga progresses, memory goes down, and none of us need proofs for that. As Kali Yuga progresses, memory is going down, for sure, right? And practically, like for many years we were shooting this television serial called Atma, which was Gita lectures on the television. So in one sense, we did from first chapter to 18th chapter the shooting in 2001, 2002 just once. And every year the Star Plus was repeating it for 8 years. And people would come up and say that this year it was very good. It was better than the last one. In one sense, it was just being repeated. But the fact is that in Kali Yuga, we have lost the capacity to remember. So what to speak of facts and figures and subjects? A very important aspect of loss of that memory is also we lose memory of those people who have helped us when we were in need. There is loss of memory about the wonderful things which have been done to us. So therefore, as soon as the memory goes down, the sense of gratitude goes down. And when the sense of gratitude goes down, impersonalism sets in. So therefore, it's a very critical element to know that we are in a very highly compromised situation in Kali Yuga, because the age of Kali comes with all of its difficulties and challenges. So therefore, many times we expect, you should remember, and the other person expects, you should remember. But the fact is, both forget, because forgetfulness is the nature of this age. And because it is the nature of this age, we have to strive really hard to overcome the handicaps caused by this age. And so it is interesting to see that Srila Prabhupada established a worldwide society of devotees, because many acharyas, they have given us sambandha gyan, knowledge. But then we also need to follow the process, abhideya. And so ISKCON is like an organization where temples are created, and the temples become hub for Vaishnavas and devotees to come together, and it gives opportunities for service. It gives opportunity for each of us to serve others. So we should know that this opportunity to serve other devotees is a very rare phenomenon. And I was speaking the other day, which, someone was commenting that it was really interesting, that many of us feel I am in distress. Many of us may feel I am feeling miserable. Right? Sometimes you feel like that, I am really miserable. This situation is really making me miserable. But that's our perspective. The Shastras, in one of the Puranas, one shloka describes there are 4 parameters for defining who is miserable. So you may say, I don't agree, I still feel miserable. That may be so, but the Shastric definition of who is miserable is described. Mam anaradhya dukkhartha kutumba sakta manasa satsanga rahito vriddha seva parichyuta. So he says actual misery is for someone who is number one, does not have the opportunity to worship the Supreme Lord. He does not have an opportunity to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mam anaradhya. He doesn't even have the facility, the opportunity. Second is kutumba sakta manasa, one who thinks that my only goal and my only destination is somehow maintaining my family. To think that family is everything. Any cause beyond that doesn't exist. And third is satsanga rahito, to not have an opportunity for satsang, to have no facility for association. And vriddha seva parichyuta, the fourth is not having the opportunity to serve those who are elder or superior or more advanced. So then, if we consider these four parameters, that these are the four parameters by which misery is defined. So practically most of us cannot claim to be miserable because we have all these four facilities. Once we come into this association of devotees, we understand how Krishna is the Supreme Lord. There is a Krishna Prem, which is Prema Pumartho Mahan, the highest goal. We get facilities to worship the Supreme Lord. And then we have so many devotees whom we can actually serve. And in fact, everyone we call as Prabhu, which shows that we are accepting everyone as superior to us. So by those parameters, we are actually in the most blissful situation from the point of view of the Shastras. So therefore, just the fact that we have all of these facilities should make us filled with gratitude. And with that sense of gratitude, we feel grateful to every devotee who is giving us an opportunity to come closer to Krishna. And once we know that so and so is responsible for my path back home, back to Godhead, then we are more likely to overlook various faults which they may be displaying and overlook discrepancies, differences of opinion which may crop up in the course of any interaction. Someone told Srila Prabhupada, I don't agree with so-and-so devotee, I don't agree with so-and-so devotee. Prabhupada said, congratulations, that means Mayavad is wrong. Where you think everything is one. No, but there is, two, right? So individuality is there. So it is impossible to snuff out the individual creativity, but how all of these individualities can be harmonized is the essence of Vrindavan. So Vrindavan is not without differences. Vrindavan is not without differences of opinion also. But Vrindavan knows how to harmonize all the differences and differences of opinion in a flavor of sweetness. So when all of these differences come together, when the flavor which comes out is bitter, then that's not Vrindavan. And when the flavor which comes out is sweet, then that is Vrindavan, because it is pleasing to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was in Bhubaneswar, and he wanted the Srimad Bhagavatam in Odia to be published very fast. And Srila Prabhupada called upon Gaur Govinda Maharaj and he said, why the translation in Oriya is going so slow? And he said, well, I have to do translation also, and along with that I also have to manage this temple. So many other responsibilities are there. So Prabhupada said, we can have someone else manage the temple. You focus fully on this. So he said, I don't know whom to tell because nobody else is here. So Prabhupada looked at one devotee who was moving, and Prabhupada said, I think he is a good person to manage. So Gaur Govinda Maharaj said, I am not going to tell him. Prabhupada said, I will tell him. And he called for him. So Gaur Govind Maharaj told Prabhupada, he is planning to go to New York tomorrow. Prabhupada said, we will change his plan. So he was called and he offered obeisances to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said that I want you to go, I want you to stay here and manage this place so that he can translate the book in Uriya. It was a shock for this devotee. He said, Srila Prabhupada, I have already made plans to go to New York. I booked my tickets. Prabhupada said, no problem, we can change that. He said, but Srila Prabhupada, India doesn't suit me. Prabhupada said, the more you stay, the more you will get suited. So he said, I'm not able to deal with the food here. I'm not able to deal with the things, they give me for prasadam. Prabhupada said, I'll tell you specifically what all to eat and what not to eat. Just follow that. You'll be healthy. So then he said, Srila Prabhupada, in New York, they have created a new department expecting that I am going to come and take over. So I have to go. Prabhupada said, we will have someone else take over that department, no problem. So then this devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, I can't get along with the GBC here. Prabhupada said, today only I will change the GBC. So finally, he thought of his Brahmastra. And he said, I am so busy morning till night, Srila Prabhupada, I am not able to complete my 16 rounds. At least in New York, if I go, I will be able to chant my rounds. Prabhupada said, if you are busy all day, what is the need to chant your 16 rounds also? So now many of you may go and ask for that quote, which will be a very useful quote on certain emergency days. But then finally this devotee just surrendered and stayed back. And Srila Prabhupada, engaged Gaur Govind Maharaj, and he actually published the Uriya section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and everything happened fast. But these are things which Prabhupada could do. So there is a huge difference between what Srila Prabhupada did in those 11 years and how he engaged devotees and how he pushed devotees. But we realize over a period of time that in the long run, many of us may not be able to engage devotees in this manner or expect immediate steps of surrender and changes in their decision making. And when we try to do that, it really creates difficulties in relationships, it breaks relationships, it creates a lot of traumatic situations. So therefore, we are now moving into that stage in ISKCON where we need to understand that to keep up the community in a sustainable manner, we also need to have more maturity in our mutual dealings and understand that we have a long way to go in this process, and we have to have a certain element of mode of goodness in all the things which we usually conduct, and that will be more sustainable. So a fair amount of feeling of gratitude for what Srila Prabhupada has given us or what the Acharyas have given us. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur spent 11 years searching for one copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. What the Acharyas have done for us. With that sense of gratitude, then when we are engaging in this process, then we'll be able to also deal with discrepancies with more forgiveness. Aho ananta dasanam mahatvam drishtamadhyame kratagasopiyan rajan mangalani samihase. Durvasa Muni, he glorified Ambrish Maharaj and he said that before the Sudarshan Chakra attacked me, I could not recognize you. But as I was traveling over the whole universe being chased by this Sudarshan Chakra, and later when I saw that you are praying for my benefit from the Sudarshan Chakra, I could recognize your identity. That your identity has to be that of a Vaishnava. Because you are forgiving. You are forgiving so much. Aho ananta dasanam mahatvam drishta madhyame kratagasopiyan rajan. I tried to kill you, but mangalani samihase. I tried to harm you, but you are praying for my benefit. So by that I can understand that this is Vaishnava. So therefore, that forgiveness is a very clear indication of what a Vaishnava quality is like. And in the association of devotees, we may initially come along and wear tilak and kantimala and all of these external symbols, which, makes us part of this community, part of ISKCON community, Vaishnava community. But the core principles of forgiveness is what really separates a person who's actually understood the substance from an ordinary soul. So therefore, without integrating forgiveness as part of our very core values, it is impossible for us to sustain relationships. So therefore, gratitude and forgiveness is something which is going to be extremely critical to maintain and sustain a community of devotees. And we are grateful to Srila Prabhupada that he has given this opportunity to come together to understand and realize Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. And I'm grateful to Vaisheshika Prabhu and the team of leadership here for creating such a vibrant community of devotees. And all of you are famous all over the 3 worlds for spreading the message of Srila Prabhupada through distributing his books. And we have come here to seek your blessings to get some drops of that nectar from all of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, 10 minutes.
Prabhu, you mentioned this question for Govind Prabhu. You gave that example like how Pandavas, they are cooperating even though they have differences because of the higher cause. But a higher cause of satisfying Krishna. But when there are differences of opinions between devotees, many times each devotee feels that he is trying to please Krishna or his Prabhupada or his Guru Maharaj. So,
you're a lawyer or what? Now we give so much of importance to our opinion. Therefore, one of the biggest yajna one can perform is that sacrifice one's opinion only. Only when we sacrifice our opinion, then the yajna prasad of pleasing Vishnu comes. Yes, certainly there are many ways to serve Krishna or Krishna's mission. Many ways. But then, like if you want to paint this wall, why should I choose this color only? What is so important in choosing this color only? Can be some other color also. But then there is a system wherein Prabhupada has created a system. There is a hierarchy, there is a system. So when we follow that system, whoever is authority, he has got the responsibility also. He has got the rights and the responsibility also. Therefore we see in the Bhagavatam, like Prabhupada explains that when somebody misuses his authority in regards to Vidura's story, then they have to suffer the consequences. So therefore when we understand somebody has the position, he has the resources, but he also has the responsibility. And he also has the control over whatever decision we make. So even though that may be one way to do, and you may have the better way, but since you do not have the authority, why not follow that? Yes, I am also pleasing, you are also pleasing, somebody else is also pleasing, but who has the right to take the decision? So therefore, if you see the system also what Prabhupada created, there is not one authority who can decide. There is a community of devotees. There is a team, there is a president, then there is a temple commander, then there is a management, different groups have to come together. Otherwise, if everybody is right, sabka opinion theek hai, because everybody is a devotee of Krishna. Spontaneity creates confusion, and discipline creates affection. So there has to be a combination of affection and systems. Only affection, no system, then we don't create anything. Only system, no affection, it becomes very mechanistic, materialistic. So therefore, the best principle is that we know, okay, somebody is more competent. It's difficult, but there is no other choice. There is no other choice. If somebody is authority, better to follow him. Even though we know, maybe we could do much better than this by this method. But let him take that credit of doing the way he wants. And therefore we see Pandavas also in that sense. Our Yudhishthira Maharaj gambling. There was no need. Other Pandavas didn't want him to gamble. They were telling not to gamble. But since he was their older brother, they followed. One may say wrong, but ultimately what happened? Ultimately they accepted Yudhishthira's proposal only. No. Because whatever he was doing, in one sense it was wrong, but in the ultimate sense it was good. Hare Krishna.
Today's lecture was very informative for me, and I was very pleased. I got a lot of information from this lecture. But I've got one question. See, so far I have been always thinking like that. Okay. My cooperation is Lord Krishna. I don't care about the whole world.
Others?
I don't cooperate with the whole world. I just cooperate with Lord Krishna. If it happens to match Lord Krishna's cooperation, I cooperate with you. That's what do you say?
Answer. Now it's your turn.
He's looking at you. Good question.
Time up, I think. Actually, that's a reality. What you are saying is a reality. If it is fulfilling the cause of Krishna, I will cooperate. And if you study again in the Mahabharata, everybody had their own agendas. Everybody had their agenda. Dronacharya had his agenda, Karna had his agenda, Drupada had his agenda, everybody had their agenda. And Pandavas also had their agenda. But they were willing to forgo their agenda so that Krishna's agenda can be fulfilled. Therefore, they were willing to cooperate. And then again, as Krishna is speaking in the Bhagavad Gita, that we need people around us to help us to progress. There is independence, and there is dependence, and there is interdependence. Dependence is slavery. Independence is arrogance. Interdependence is culture. So Krishna is never alone. Krishna is always with his devotees. Prabhupada says, alone Krishna means Mayavad. Krishna has to be with somebody. Either with cows, whether Radharani, with Sakas, Gopas. Therefore when we say, I only worship Krishna. No. Krishna and Krishna's system, both has to be accepted. Because Krishna's system ultimately leads us to Krishna only. Hare Krishna.
Very good answer.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. I have never been to Bombay, and very good to see you. I think I saw Prabhu sometime in '96 in Powai, probably, if you're around. I was just for a 2 months summer internship at ACC. What I wanted was, typically people who are living in cities are highly manipulative and more quarrelsome. They have more effect of Kali on them. And when I see the center of Bombay, like all of you have a lot of education class of people living in cities, but they are very cohesive and very culturally and, sound knowledge. So what are the 2-3 things which probably your center is doing, others can learn from it, so we can, have the same information going to other centers in cities?
Well, you should see us in our management meetings. You may probably change your question. But as far as, following the basic instructions of Srila Prabhupada, the most important being that, as Saraswati Thakur said, that Yuga Dharma for this age, instead of chanting, he said it is actually Vaishnava Seva. Why? Because when you serve Vaishnavas, you get a lot of opportunities for seva, and you get a lot of opportunities to become humble. So when you serve Vaishnavas, what comes free is course in humility. So once you become humble, then amanena, manadena, kirtaniya sadahari, chanting will follow. Sometimes you become so helpless, you have to chant only. So therefore, what you are saying is, in principle, fine, but what's most important is that His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj has been very strongly emphasizing a culture of humility and cooperation based on that. And we have been fortunate enough to have a group of families and devotees who at the very beginning, it's also important what's the culture of the people, what background they are coming from. That plays a major role. As you know that in cooking, the final taste depends also on the raw material, the stock, So therefore organic is sometimes more expensive. So a very important part is also played by the kind of culture and background which devotees come from, and that makes a lot of difference also. So therefore, all I can say is that as of now, we have experienced a lot of good cooperation. And in fact, the interesting thing is many of the centers which have been inspired by us and are our satellite centers all across Maharashtra, they do not seem to be experiencing the similar kind of cordial and cooperative ambience as the mother center, which shows that right at home we don't have a duplicatable model. What to speak of, you're asking a global, solution. So I don't think we have a system in place to replicate that, but it's just that a certain kind of synergy exists sometimes, and even we are wondering how it's been working so far. Because we spend hours dealing with conflicts in nearby places, and they're all people who have come up from here and gone there to preach and do things. So I would say that probably the culture is a very important aspect more than anything else, but still it's a work in progress. Okay? Hare Krishna. So now we can have, it's 8 o'clock. It's time for Aarti. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.
कि बजयो जयो गौरा चांदे आरती को शोभा कि बजयो जयो गौरा चांदे आरती को शोभा जानवी तवाने जगमान लोभा जानवी तटवाने जगमान लोभा जाना तटवाने गमन लो कि बदकी निमिताय चान बामे गदाधारा धकी निमिताय चान बामे गदाधारा निकटे अद्वैताशीनि वास छत्रधारा निकटे अद्वैता वास छत्रधारा निकटे अद्वैताशीनि वास छत्रधारा निकट अद्वैताशीन वास छत्र कि बबोसी अच्छे गौरा चान रत्न सिंहासने बोसी अच्छे गौरा चान रत्न सिंहासने आरती करे नर ब्रह्मा आदिदेव गाने आरती करे नर ब्रह्मा आदिदेव गाने आरती करे नर ब्रह्मा आदिदेव गाने